So I didn't know what to. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Digital Vino. I'm Katarina, Grape and Adventures. Today, this is actually the second time of this new live stream, and I have this very, very cool guest today that I'm very happy about, which is Kate Bradley Chernis from lately that I got to know through Brian Kramer and Courtney Smith Kramer. And since I got to know her, I've been using Lately, that she's the founder of Lately, which is this AI-driven or powered platform. So that I'm actually love a lot because it makes everything so easy for me who shares a lot of content. So do you want to present yourself to all these people who perhaps listening to Italy and who doesn't know you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Hi, Nazim. Hey, Lauren. Say hi, everybody in the chat, so we know you're there, so we don't feel lonely. Thank you so much, Katerina. It's amazing. I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like, when we've known this for a while because you and I have been working online from home for years, now. So we get good at learning how to reach across the world through a screen, and you create a bond of trust there, especially when there's some kind of club that you're involved in. So like you mentioned the club that we're involved in, which was Brian Kramer and Courtney Smith Kramer from Facebook. And there's some kind of allegiance that you have there, a sisterhood or brotherhood of sorts, similar to like how we have with our accelerators that we've been through as a startup. So I love that because it's like, I would do anything for you, and I've never met you, right? But so thank you so much. So yes, I'm Kate. Some people call me Kately from Lately. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lately. We're an AI tech startup. So we use AI to automatically transform podcasts just like this, or blogs, or newsletters, or audio, into dozens and dozens of amazing social posts that are actually pre-tested to know what's going to work well with your audience. So the AI constantly is learning what to pick to serve up to you so that you'll have the best experience with your targets.
That sounds cool. So if you would say something about how did you lead up to this idea of Lately? I know you spoke about it in a lot of podcasts that I've been listening to, but I think in Italy it's still a platform, except for Nazim, that is fairly unknown. So
yeah. Oh, by the way, I did want to say, so I was planning my first trip to Italy, to Sicily, actually, for in my life. Literally March 19th, we were supposed to get on a plane and go, and I was so sad about that. So, hello, Italian friends. I sure hope that I can visit your wonderful area of the world someday soon. I was really looking forward to that. But so wait, I just forgot what you asked me. Oh yeah, how we get started. Sorry, I'm a space cadet. So yeah, I used to be a rock and roll DJ, believe it or not. So my last gig was broadcasting to XM satellite radio to 20 million listeners a day. And what's fascinating to me about that is it's actually, I learned a lot about how to do marketing through radio. And so we were talking about how wine and marketing are related, and AI and human to human and all of these things. And this is what's so beautiful about life, is when all the pieces connect. So here I was in radio. I was really unhappy. I was a woman. There's not a lot of women in radio. So of course I was sexually harassed, but I didn't even know that's what was happening. So that's the crazy thing, Katerina. Like, you don't know something is wrong often because it's normal, right? And like it just was. And but the thing that was uncomfortable to me was that I wasn't feeling listened to, and my ideas were squashed, and that really bothered me. Isn't that strange? Like, that's the thing that bothered me. And so my body started reacting, and I became really sick, and it was just screaming at me saying, get out, right? Make a change. And I wasn't listening. It took me a while. It took me, it really started to incapacitate me. And then my dad lovingly shook me by the shoulders one day and said, you can't work for other people. And there's no shame in that, right?
no, that's true. I have the same thing. I did a PhD, and then I realized I could never have a 9-to-5 job.
You did?
Yeah, I mean, when you do a PhD, you get all these crazy hours, and you get used to work on your own terms when you want to. So
Yeah.
it was hard to get back to
It's hard. And once you know, though, like you have that bug, right? You can't go back. And people always ask, like, what's your advice to people who are thinking about it? And I always say, like, make sure your level of crazy is high. Number one, because like this takes a certain level of crazy isn't fair, but like blacking out everything else, right? So I was just posting on LinkedIn today. I posted this, them, you're doing it wrong. Me, but it's working. And this is like typical of my day all the time, and has been for the last 5 to 10 years, right? So just knowing that you're going to be up against people telling you, no, you can't do it all the time, right? So you have to be stubborn. But anyway, so my dad had that insight, and I didn't understand even that it was a possibility, right? Like I thought life was like school. College doesn't do a good job of preparing you for life in some ways, right? So I'm like, why am I not getting an A? I'm doing all the work. I didn't understand. And my dad just made me see a different light. And my husband at the time gave me Guy Kawasaki's book called The Art of the Start, right? It's a very famous book that a lot of entrepreneurs read. And I read it like right in the first or second chapter. It says, don't make a plan, just get started. So I was like, well, I don't need to read this book, obviously. And so I went to lunch, and the next day I met my first investors who gave me $50,000 to start my first company.
Wow, that's great. My God.
Yeah, it was a surprise. I didn't actually know they were investors. We were going to lunch for another work purpose. And then, I don't have a very good filter, Katarina. So my edit button doesn't work. And I used to apologize for that a lot, but now I just own it. Sometimes I put both my feet in my mouth, pretty often actually, but I've learned that it works for me. And when I went to lunch with those guys, that was the case. I would just, yammering all my ideas off, which can be unsavory, and they loved it. So.
But I think that's a good thing also, because at least I think as Nazim, so hello Nazim, and hello everyone else, Kelly, Lauren, and everybody else who's here listening in, everyone who in Italy here who is listening in. Because I think also what makes Lately so great is, that you can ask anything and you get straight answers, So if I write an email, or if I ask about, because often I don't get it. I'm like, well, how does this work? I don't get it. But you always get a very fast reply, and at least you always ask. Like Lauren and anybody else ask if I want to have a call, and I think that's not that many. Well, some other platforms start doing that now, but there's not that many who are as customer oriented as you are, I think.
Thanks. Yeah, we want to treat you like I want to be treated, which is I'm a wild horse, and if you tether me, I'm not going to run very fast for you. And so that's how I treat my staff, and that's how we treat our customers. We just try to imagine like what your daily life is like, and we don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste each other's time, but we also find that removing the formalities makes it much faster, and also then it gives you the permission to do the same with us, and everything is just easier. It's easier and better. Like my job is to understand what you need, and to help you, right? That's my job. And I can only do that if I know you in some way, or if I have empathy or sympathy, that kind of thing. And the other thing too, Katarina, is like, let's not be anything but upfront. We're trying to make money. We want to be a big business. We're a small business, and there's a lot of businesses that are crappy that succeed because they have really good marketing, right?
Yeah.
And we definitely try to exercise that, but we also know that as a small business, the one thing we can really control is our customer service and our voice, right? And so that's how we decided to try to stand out. And it works because there's something underlying. My goal is to make you not a customer, but an evangelist, right? Like, and that's what I did in radio. Same thing. Like I didn't have listeners, I had fans, right?
So how has this helped lately? More practically, because having this community, I guess, also helps you in gaining more trust also with investors and gaining more of everything?
Yeah. So, we're doing something that has been called unscalable a million times over, right? So by creating one-on-one relationships, H2H, what Brian Kramer and Courtney teach us, we are again creating evangelists and creating mouthpieces for us, right? You're doing it here. You've invited me to the show. I'm going to use this for lead gen. I am, right? And we've learned that that's actually scalable. So what people constantly tell us to do is like, let the product do everything for you. Let the robots do it. And we've tried those things and they consistently don't work for us. And I'm tired of it. Like it's funny. There's some things that seem really obvious when you're zagging as opposed to zigging. That are like the right things to do. And then sometimes it takes you a little while to be like, why am I banging my head against this wall? When it's obvious that this is the way to go. And I'm trying to be much better at that for my team, right? The other reason too, Katerina, is the world, you pointed this out, the world is changing, not just because of COVID, but before this, it was already evolving to a more virtual world. And then like the world likes to go in opposites, right? So for a long time, everybody ate canned green beans and now they want farm to table, right?
Yeah.
There's that thing.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
I agree.
you get
I
it, right?
think, yeah, I think like this is, I mean, in my small world, I'm trying to do this thing with wineries too, but in Italy still it's a bit hard. It's getting better. And also here's Peter, he's from Holland. So I introduce you to Peter. He also works with the
Hi,
marketing
Peter.
in Holland and wine, I think, and sake. And leading stilettos.
Natalie. Hi, Natalie. She's awesome.
Also, so
Yeah.
sorry I interrupted you, but yeah, I
No,
think
that's
that's
great.
important. So if I would ask you to say something to, obviously you don't know perhaps much about the audiences in Italy and wine and stuff, but I think that this message is important also for other kind of businesses like wine businesses or similar in Italy, because I think what it has shown now is like in this period, even if it already started before, is how important it is to build a community and also to build trust. And it's no longer about just putting out a bottle and selling and then everything will turn out okay, because it's not going to turn out okay if you don't make an effort. No.
It's true, right? So there's the intangible thing that we're all missing right now, as our friend Brian Fanzo put it recently, is the hug, right? But we've been learning how to transmit a virtual hug as a company for 5 years, because we've all worked from home, dispersed with clients like you who we've never met, right? And that when you can do that, it's this magical thing, right? So this is that bond we talked about from the club. There's the trust that we have. It's not just touchy-feely. That's the thing that I think people misconstrue, right? Like I love Nazim, I love you. I'm going to learn to love Natalie as soon as we have our live session coming up soon, when we actually get to talk to each other. All these things. But there's a purpose. There's a purpose for you, and there's a purpose for me, and the purpose is business, right? It is. Although we'd have one hell of a party someday. There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
the trust is the main thing that you said, right? So in order to give me your money, you have to trust me or my product, right? And a bottle can't convey that, right? There has to be the more there. And part of it, which I learned from radio too, is this feeling of accessibility, right? So people always want to see what's on the other side, so the one thing that COVID screwed up for me is that like everybody's doing this now. And I'm like, damn it, like I always wore shorts. Like this is not a new thing, like I'm like, that's not okay. How else am I going to reveal what's behind the black curtain? People want to go into the green room, and meet the rock right backstage. So I've been thinking about that a lot, Katerina, is like, what can I, what's the next step to go here? But anyways, the culture that you talked about, it doesn't matter if you're selling wine or software, or photos or baubles or underwear or whatever it's going to be, the trust factor and the culture is really important. And I think people, they can smell bullshit, right? I mean, that's the deal. So the tough part about that is to scale it, so sorry, and just cut me off when you can, but when you want to. But one thing we've been doing recently is, so Lauren, Chris, and Katie, they're my and me, we're the sales team at Lately. And we used to think that sales, marketing, and customer service were separate jobs, right? Because that's what people tell you. And so we were hiring that way. And then Lauren, who's head of customer service, she was out selling the hired sales big guns that we'd bring in by like 3-1, right? And so I was like, what's happening with that? And so now we've actually really melded the job. So customer service, marketing, lead gen, all of us are doing all of it. And what's happening is we're able to have a much deeper understanding of the customer because we're seeing you in all of your journeys as you're reflecting basically our software, right? And we're able to preempt problems, or again, have you evangelize for us, lots of different things here. So I'm thinking about, like, I'm about to hire somebody new, and I'm trying to, intertwine, Kate, exactly. I'm trying to figure out, how can I educate them on this job, this position? Because it's like a little bit, it's asking a lot, right, of somebody. But that's the thing that I feel is these new ideas that are, we were already on to them, right? But COVID is now getting other people the ability to have a mindset change where they can accept it.
Yeah. So Nazim asked, what does the future hold for the company and the software?
Oh, hi, Nazim. So this is so exciting. So I'll tell you, behind the scenes, you guys, we worked on a project with Anheuser-Busch last year, where we ingested about 10,000 pieces of their content from a single brand voice. And the content was not only social media, but press releases, commercials to scripts from commercials, anything in the brand voice, any kind of text that we could get our hands on. And then we put it into the AI brain, and then we were able to push a button and could actually create from scratch incredibly creative, compelling social media posts in the brand voice, right? Now, the number one question that you all ask us, customers, all the time is, how do we optimize what the AI puts out better with our human touch? How do we do what Lately's doing, right? So we hold writing classes for you guys, right? That's the thing we've learned. And so what we're doing is we're taking that model from the summer. We're actually taking all of Lately's posts that we've been publishing for the last 5 years, putting it through the same brain with the goal of you guys being able to push a button that says, like, give me the Lately, right? And then we can do it's cool, right? We could do that with any kind of industry. So all of our wine customers put the wine spin on this, for example. So that's where we're going.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks. Me too.
So somebody said about empathy and Gary Vee. I think it was Nazim again. So we talked about that before when we planned this interview, to talk a bit also about, because you just launched this crazy cool thing now that you can turn videos into small pieces of video with text, and then adapt them to the different channels. And that actually Gary Vee opened up a new Twitter account.
He did, yeah. So the idea was, like, so Lately was taking Lately would take a video like this and transcribe it automatically, and then still give you all the snippets in text with a link to this podcast, which was great. But then in the background, I was having my intern go through and cut out the videos and matching it up for us, and it took forever. And my tech team was like, oh, actually, we can do that. So they figured out a way to do it automatically. So the idea is each text piece that will match up with the quote of something wonderful that you've said, for example. And so Gary, is the poster boy for this because he has so much content. So Lately gives him the ability to unlock that content and to find the gold, because that's what the AI is doing. It's looking for the golden little nuggets that Natalie has been writing some of them out here, which is, thank you, Natalie. It's so awesome of you. And highlight them, right? So with Gary's channel, and it's all Lately content only, we saw a 12,000% increase in engagement. 12,000%, because the AI is smart AF, right? It knows.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
pretty crazy. Yeah, and the reason, just for people, in case you're nerding out here, the reason it is it studies every single post you ever published in the past and ongoing, so for like a year, and then it will look at the highest engaging posts and the words that created that post, and it builds a writing model on what it learns that gets updated in real time all the time, right? So this gets back to what we were talking about before. Our AI's job is to learn what your customers care about, right? And then to help you write that content and predict it at the same time. And this is what we as humans need to do now more than ever, right?
No, that's true. I mean, it's crazy that it's like right in this moment, it's what we want, no, and it's also what can make our work so much easier. And I think for a lot of sectors that perhaps doesn't know it already. So I hope that you will. So in how many different sectors are you? I mean, I guess it's more in the US, but I think it's also worldwide now that people.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers not from the US, which is great. Oh, and actually, I don't know if you know this, Katerina, but so some of our customers, without us knowing, just started trying to use Lately in foreign languages. So, for example, they would put a Spanish blog into Lately, and what do you know? The AI gave them Spanish social posts. So
Really?
yeah, and it was happening in Portuguese, French, and German. So then we're like, well, let's help those people out. So we optimized the system. So now it does it in I don't even know how many languages, but a lot of different languages.
That's cool. I have to test it for Italian. I haven't really tested it because it was only in English. So
let us know how it's working, because I don't know if anyone's doing it in Italian. We'll have to find out.
That would be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think Nazim had a question. How do you see the impact of voice devices for the future of social media marketing?
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and thanks, Nazim. So I don't know if you guys know this about me, but so when I was in radio, the ailment that I had was I have epicondylitis and tendonitis throughout all hands, arms, and shoulders. I've been told that I was unhealable. How much did that suck to hear? And I can't physically type at all or touch my phone without debilitating pain. So I do but I have to exist in the world just like you. So I talk to my computer for a living all day long. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking. Yeah, I don't type at all. So, which is interesting because I still talk for a living, right? Like radio. But so Nazim, I have like an intimate, understanding of these new voice activated things. And it's funny because, so I've been doing this for over a decade now. I'm an expert at Dragon. And it's like learning a language. It's very difficult. It's not just whip out your phone. I mean, you guys have all given up on Siri. A lot of people have, which is interesting because she's powered by the same engines. But so I love speech to text, and I especially love it for people with disabilities. I mean, it's incredible, which is what Dragon was built for. Like the version I use is built for people who are paraplegics, who have like lots of different challenges. And so I love that. I don't like, being spied on any more than anyone else does. I don't have one. I don't have an Alexa in my house. Also, like, I mean, let's not be so lazy. I mean, Jesus Christ, you can't get up and like get the remote. But I
love it either because I don't see the use of it. I did use the Dragon software a long time ago when I did translations. But
it's hard to get to learn, but
yeah, it was really hard to train, and so after a while I gave up and I just didn't.
I mean, I had no choice, right? So I actually, when I first started doing it, it was really new. This was a long time ago. So I hired a specialist to help me. Now I couldn't pay her, but because I worked in radio and you didn't make any money, but she loved my channel and she loved music. And so I paid her in CDs because I had thousands of them, which was great and wonderful.
So we should do a DJ party and the wine party. And
I know, right? But so the other thing that's really amazing here is, so what this has taught me, this is how the cyclical thing comes together, right? So I talk for a living. I was a fiction writing major. When I talk and type, I hear words. So when I'm writing our marketing, I hear how the words sound. And so I like to write that way, because that's what happens to you, right? Once I get it on the page or through the screen, you read words in your head out loud, like, there's sound there. So here's how this ties in too. So I think this is fascinating. So music, when you listen to music, there's a neuroscience that happens where every time you process a note, your brain accesses every single note you ever heard before, and then has to index it in place, right? So by default, nostalgia is an experience you have automatically when you're listening to music.
Yeah.
Now, everybody's voice is a note, right? There's a frequency here, right? So there's something similar that happens. So when I'm teaching marketing classes or teaching the optimization, I'm trying to think this way, right? Like, because this is how you make emotion. This is why you don't want the AI to replace everything altogether, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's so cool. So there was a question, Twitter Pirates, who says, how much content do you need for Lately to be effective?
That's a super smart question. So what we find is that people who are just starting out are probably not the best candidates for us. We have a way of giving you content, but we know that you're not going to love it. And so you want to be online and pretty active in your social space for at least a year. That's the brain is going to need that space to work. And you want to have the pain of creating some kind of long form content and then being mad that it's not doing a lot for you, right? So whether it's a blog or a podcast or a newsletter, that's a pain that I had. So I forgot to tell everybody this, Katerina, but after radio, I accidentally had a marketing agency.
Okay, no, I think I read that, right? I heard it in another.
Yeah.
podcast.
So when I was doing the music thing, someone else came along and said, "Hey, you're really good at marketing. Would you consult this? We'll pay you a lot of money." And I was like, "Okay." And they put me on a Walmart project. And so Courtney. So
Courtney's here. Oh my God.
what's up, Courtney? So for Walmart, I built them a system that got us 130% ROI year over year for 3 years.
Yeah.
Which but it was Walmart and tens of thousands of small businesses. So I learned a lot about how everybody does marketing. And that's how the idea for Lately came about.
That's so cool. So as Courtney is here and she also likes wine, so I had this question
She
I want to ask you. So for you at Lately, which grape would you be? Which is your favorite grape that you think would be lately? And this is also for a question to everybody who are listening in. What's your favorite grape, or what grape defines you?
Okay, so like is Pinot Noir a grape?
Yes. Well, we can also say wine, because I'm a bit of a nerd. Wine
All right.
nerd.
So I'm like not a total wine Luddite, but close. So when I was in DC working for XM, someone introduced me to Trader Joe's and Charles Shaw, which I had never met before in my life. And I was like, what, case of wine for $40? We are best friends now. And so then I started drinking a lot of wine, and then I had to hire a trainer because I was fat. Since then, I've, made a little better living in my life and have elevated myself. But then a terrible thing happened, Katerina, which is like I had to stop drinking wine for about 3 or 6 years. I know, it was horrible.
Yes, that's a great feminine.
It was horrible, but I switched back. First, I had to go to white, which was like, white. That's for like TV show women. Sorry. And then now I can go back to red, but I can only have like a glass or two. Actually, Courtney introduced me to tequila, which is my new best friend, because so many good reasons.
No, but I mean, that's such a good story, though. I read about it. So Courtney says that her favorite is Cabernet or Cabernet. And Pinot Noir is like a great wine. I think that's like a very elegant wine to pair with you and with Lately.
It's
So
elegant, and what's with the movie? Remember the movie Sideways? Like, come on, I did what everybody else did. I was a cab girl, Charles Shaw Cabernet, awesome. And then I watched the movie and I was like, oh my God, I need to step it up. So yeah.
good. So there was a question from my friend Peter. Now I just have to find it again. Sorry,
Oh,
Peter.
Peter.
So he said, "How do you handle non-verbal and verbal expression in communication?"
Yeah. So the meaning with lately, nonverbal with lately. I'm not sure the question exactly, but I'm gonna so feel free to type some more in there, Peter. But the way lately works is on text, right? So it translates, it takes a video or a podcast like this and it goes and finds the text first and then studies the text, right? So if you think about it, all communication is text-based, right?
Yeah.
Eventually. And we're hell-bent on making the world better writers, right? So people are bad at writing and they hate writing. I don't hate writing. I love it.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Like people used to laugh at us when we were English majors. Remember? They're like, good luck finding a job, teacher, and turns out that skill is pretty money right now. Right?
True. So true. So there's a lot of people now. Well, Chris says if it's okay to like beer, and I think that's more than okay. And
Yeah, Chris loves beer. What's your favorite grape? I want to know.
Mine is actually for the moment. Well, I also like a Barolo. So Nebbiolo is a grape, but I think probably I'm a Sangiovese, which I'm in Tuscany, so that's Chianti, or I'm a Nero Amaro, which is Puglia, because I'm in love with Puglia as a region, which is on the heel of Italy.
Oh, really?
So probably my grapes. So if you ever come over here, I'm definitely going to bring you to these
Yeah,
places.
I love that. I should get some recommendations for you to ask my local guys over here if they can step up my life. Because since I can only have one or two glasses now, it better be really good, right?
So thank you for Courtney for being here, and I'm sorry she has to run, but we're already on overtime, so we're going to round it up also very soon here. So is there anything else you want to add that you think is very important to know how to use lately to the best you can for your business or for your activity?
I think that the most important thing is whether you're using lately or not, that you want to make sure that you're communicating, that your communications are very, very clear. And that comes down to your objective. So I'll give you one example. When we're writing social posts for anything, I make sure to tell my intern who does a lot of that work what the objective is. And there's really two in social. So one is reshares and the other is clicks, right? And that's a different kind of call to action that you want to use. So finding quotes are generally great for reshares because people love to share quotes, right? Clicks means you have to have really good call to action. So check it out is not a call to action. That is a lazy thing that means nothing. There's no verb there. So make sure that when you have your objective, you know what it is. Emphasize what people are going to get as opposed to what they need to do. Right. So by listening to this podcast with me and Katarina, you're going to learn how to accelerate your trust in your marketing by 2,050%, for example.
No, but it's good. I listened to that program when you had this teaching class, I think, and it actually got me thinking because I realized that sometimes I was lazy too. So I would say like
the writing class, yeah. It's
so
hard.
I started thinking about doing more kind of more think through my call to actions, and I realized that it actually makes sense.
You should get that book that I talked about. This is the book that I love. It's called L is for Lollygag. It's like a thesaurus, not really. I don't know. It has all these fun words in it. And what I like about them is that they are all fun to say. I mean, this goes back to wine. Like you can tell I used to smoke. I love smoking. I mean, I don't smoke anymore, but I'm a tactile, like tasty person.
Yeah.
And when you have beautiful words, like it is like wine, right? It's like you want to chew them. They're so good. Right.
That's true. So you should pair wine with lately and pair it with the cool expressions that make the customers want to sign up for what you're selling. No?
Best meal ever. Awesome. Well, cheers to all of you.
Cheers to you. Cheers to all of you who listened in today. And I think we're going to round it up now, because otherwise, poor Kate, she has more work to do today. It's not here in Italy. It's like 7:30 p.m., but you still have a work day going on. So I don't want to.
I love you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You're amazing.
So thank you very much, Kate. I'm really, really happy that you wanted to do this interview with me. And for those of you who want to follow Digital Vino, which is this new idea I had, which I think is going to be great, it's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. European time. And next time I will have actually a guy from New York who I think is also a consultant in the software business, but he has created a platform called Rebel Vino.
Cool.
Which will be a platform for foodies and wine lovers. So I think that's going to be really cool to talk about.
So great. I'm coming.
So thank you, everyone. Lauren, Chris, Nazim, Courtney, everybody else. And thank you, Kate, again. And have a great day. See you soon. Ciao.
Bye.